Will Camila Cabello's career ever recover? I'm not completely ruling out Camila's potential to score some more hits, but it really seems like her career has taken an offset route as opposed to the route she was taking following Havana and her first album. Now, if you guys don't know, Camila Cabello started off in a girl group called Fifth Harmony on the show The X Factor. From the start of the group, she was instantly hailed as the standout and leader of the group. Fifth Harmony didn't win. However, Simon Cowell never lets a group go, so it should come as no surprise that they were quickly signed after the show. They were surely not a groundbreaking girl group, or even exactly a harmonious girl group. They didn't have natural charisma, charm, or a strong bond of sisterhood like TLC or the Spice Girls. They didn't have the vocals of En Vogue, nor did they have the smashes of women empowerment that Destiny's Child is so fondly remembered for. They had no real standout qualities, basically. Still, they were fairly successful, spawning hits like Worth It, Work From Home, and Sledgehammer. They would release 2 albums as a 5-piece group, Reflection in 2015, and their breakthrough record 727. Things got a bit muddy when Camila began to attain success outside of the group, most notably with Machine Gun Kelly on Bad Things, and with Shawn Mendes on I Know What You Did Last Summer. According to Camila, these songs were responsible for creating a lot of tension within the group. She also wanted to have more creative control in the group and wanted to write more of the Fifth Harmony songs, but was turned down. Her plan was to stay in the group while working on her solo album. It became clear that it was not possible to do solo stuff and be in the group at the same time, she explained. If anyone wants to explore their individuality, it's not right for people to tell you no. Taking into account of what she said, it is understandable why she left the group. I also think it's normal to have tension, especially being that the group were still teenagers and very young. Eventually she decided to leave the group, just as they were becoming much more popular, which was a surprise to many. Camila's major success wasn't really instantaneous. She sort of found her sound through her releases, and Havana would eventually settle as her big breakout hit. She released her highly successful self-titled debut album in 2018, which is not a bad record, it's just a radio hits record. And she will follow it up with Romance in 2019. And this is where a plethora of things took a turn for Camila in the wrong direction. Racism. Her racist past caught up to her. Camila's old racist posts had been known for a while, at least on the internet, but somehow the media finally blew it up around the time of her second album. They resurfaced on Twitter and there were a lot of racial slurs, with the inclusion of mocking Rihanna's abuse. Camila Cabello issued an apology stating that she was uneducated and ignorant when younger and that she was deeply embarrassed to have ever used horrible and hurtful language. She added that those mistakes don't represent her and that she only stands and has ever stood for love and inclusivity. Now, while I didn't initially believe this was something that would harm Camila's career, because we have seen racism go practically unpunished, I think it certainly has negatively affected her image and likability, especially when considering on a plethora of her records she has collaborated with a lot of black rappers. Another major factor is her bandmate Normani, who is also the only black girl in the group, has emerged into her own light. Camila's fans would take part in the racist attacks against Normani, and Camila would not defend Normani. It has obviously had a lasting effect on Normani, with her being a bit more timid to fully present herself, and she has been outspoken about this specific incident. The singer said that if the tables were turned, I would defend each of them in a single heartbeat. It was devastating that this came from a place that was supposed to be a safe haven and a sisterhood, she wrote. It took days for her to acknowledge what I was dealing with online, and then years for her to take responsibility for the offensive tweets that recently resurfaced. Whether or not it was her intention, this made me feel like I was second to the relationship that she had with her fans. To my brown men and women, we're like no other, she wrote. Our power lies within our culture. We are descendants of an endless line of strong and resilient kings and queens. We have been and will continue to win in all that we do, simply because of who we are. We deserve to be celebrated. I deserve to be celebrated, and I'm just getting started. Having someone like Normani emerge, who is a great dancer making her own buzz, will obviously make people stop, pay attention, and revisit a situation like this. I'm not here to police whether or not Camila has grown as a person or not when it comes to this specific situation or subject, but apparently she has taken some steps to educate herself. In March 2021, Cabello said she had taken part in weekly racial healing sessions, administered by the racial equity group National Compadres Network, and what you get corrected, you have homework, and you learn. Now I know better, so I can do better, she says. Romance. I consider it to have suffered the sophomore slump. There's not many strong songs on the record. Her vocal processing and auto-tune is so annoying on this record. Camila already has a high pitch and sometimes shrill tone to her voice, so the excessive auto-tune really makes it hard to listen to. Romance debuted at number 3 on the US Billboard 200, with 86,000 copies, a bit of a decrease from her first record, which sold 119,000 copies first week. Camila's tour was also underperforming, and she canceled it right around the pandemic, which was very convenient. The album's content and rollout was just a bit of a mess. She released a lot of double singles, and by the time the album was out, half of the songs were as well. Plus, she had a noticeable shift in sound, abandoning the Latin pop sound that made her famous very quickly. The 5th single from the album, My Oh My, was a return to that sound, but it wasn't even initially on the album. They tacked it on at the end because the album was underperforming, as they did Senorita with Shawn Mendes, which was first present on Shawn Mendes' album. Ultimately, the album had a bad rollout, lack of strong material, and she had used up the initial leaving the band hype without settling into something more gratifying. Shawn Mendes. Now this is something I don't think a lot of people have considered. Shawn and Camila have been a controversial couple from the start, to say the least, with many people claiming they were a publicity stunt, and a lot of people still do. And you know, it makes sense why people would think that, because they were obviously banking in on this relationship with Senorita, going on to become a massive hit, and they also played it up in the music video and live performances. But I think they intertwined their brands far too much. By the way they were parading around, you would think that they were the Carters and a married couple. Not only did they do multiple songs, they did live shows and even a documentary where Camila was present. Now don't get me wrong, it is perfectly normal to post pictures, be spotted out together, and even collaborate with each other. But whether their relationship is real or not, it is very clear that they both relied on their relationship for publicity and to propel their work. Now I think Camila's career is far from over, but she obviously had some missteps. I'm sure she'll go on to make more hits, but I'm not sure if she'll recapture the Havana success. I see her taking more of the Selena Gomez route, where she's just like a normal pop songstress, nothing more, nothing less.